The great hall of Nexus Prime stretched up into the darkness like a metal mountain. Thousands of alien beings filled the massive chamber, their voices creating a noise that sounded like angry thunder. At the center of it all sat the High Council, 12 of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Ambassador Kang Ho walked slowly down the long path to the speaker's platform. His human feet made soft sounds on the crystal floor. Around him, alien eyes watched with hate and fear. Some beings had too many arms. Others looked like giant insects. A few were just floating balls of light that hurt to look at. Kang Ho had been Earth's voice in this place for 10 years. He had seen the fear grow stronger each year. The other species were afraid of humans. They said humans spread too fast across the stars. They said humans were too dangerous, too wild, too different. The tall, blue-skinned Vorthon leader stood up. Her name was Velthara, and her voice was cold as space. "The human problem has gone too far," she said. "They take planets we do not want them to have. They build cities where we said they cannot. They do not follow our rules." The insect queen from the hive worlds made clicking sounds with her mouth. "Humans refuse to join our way of thinking. They keep their own ideas. This is wrong. All beings must think as one." A creature made of living crystal spoke next. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. "Human minds create chaos. They disrupt the order we have built. The galaxy was peaceful before they came." Kang Ho stepped up to the speaking platform. The chamber became quiet. He looked around at all the alien faces. Some showed disgust, others showed fear. None showed friendship. "Honored Council," Kang Ho began. His voice was calm and clear. "My people have done nothing but try to find new homes among the stars. We have fought no wars of conquest. We have taken no worlds that belong to others. We ask only for the right to exist." Velthara laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Right to exist? Your species has spread to over 200 star systems in less than 300 years. No species in galactic history has expanded so fast. We explore because we must," Kang Ho replied. "It is who we are, but we harm no one in doing so." The crystal being made harsh sounds. "You harm the natural order. Your chaos thoughts spread like disease. Already young species copy your ways. They ask questions they should not ask. They want freedom they should not have." More alien voices joined in. They spoke of human ships in places humans should not be. They told stories of human colonies that appeared overnight. They complained about humans who would not bow to council authority. Kang Ho listened to it all. He had heard these accusations many times before. The truth was simple. Humans were good at surviving. They were good at adapting. They were good at finding ways to live in places others thought impossible. This made the old established species nervous. The council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They liked things to stay the same. They liked knowing where every species belonged. Humans did not fit their neat categories. Humans asked too many questions. Humans wanted to see what was beyond the next star. "The vote will now begin," announced the council's speaker, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish. "All in favor of activating the Omega Protocol against the human species?" Kang Ho felt his heart grow cold. The Omega Protocol was something whispered about in dark corners. It was the Council's final solution for species they deemed too dangerous to exist. One by one, the representatives voted. The Vorthons voted yes. The Hive Worlds voted yes. The Crystal Beings voted yes. Even species that had seemed friendly to humans raised their hands in agreement. The vote was unanimous. Every single member of the Council wanted humanity dead. "The Omega Protocol is now active," the speaker announced. "All human worlds will be sterilized using quantum void weapons. The attack will happen in exactly 72 standard hours. This will give time for essential personnel to evacuate." Kang Ho stood very still. Around him, alien beings began to leave the chamber. Some looked satisfied. Others seemed relieved. A few appeared sad, but not sad enough to change their votes. Velthara approached him as the crowd thinned out. "I am sorry it came to this," she said. "Your people could have been good citizens of the galaxy. Instead, they chose to be wild. We chose to be free," Kang Ho replied quietly. Freedom is an illusion, Velthara said. Order is the only truth. Your species will be remembered as a lesson to others who think they can live outside our system. After Velthara left, Kang Ho remained alone in the Great Hall. The silence felt heavy around him. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. It looked like an ordinary communication pad, but it was much more than that. He pressed his thumb to the screen and spoke very quietly. Ghost Protocol is a go. Tell them the Council took the bait. The device flashed once and went dark. Somewhere far away, people who had been waiting for this moment would receive his message. They had been preparing for this day for 50 years. Kang Ho walked out of the chamber with slow, steady steps. To anyone watching, he looked like a defeated man carrying terrible news to his people. The alien guards paid him no attention. They saw only a human who had just learned his species was doomed. But as Kang Ho left Nexus Prime on his small diplomatic ship, he allowed himself a small smile. The Council thought they were so smart. They thought they had found every human world, every human ship, every place where humans lived. They had no idea how wrong they were. Back on Earth, the emergency broadcasts had already begun. News channels showed crowds of frightened people. Government officials spoke about evacuation plans and last-ditch negotiations. Military commanders argued about whether to fight or flee. It all looked very real. It all looked very desperate. That was exactly the point. The truth was far different. The truth was hidden in deep space, in places the Council had never thought to look. The truth was that humanity had learned the most important lesson of all. To survive in a hostile galaxy, you had to become invisible. The Council was about to learn that lesson too. But for them, it would be too late. Admiral Su Jin stood on the bridge of the command center that floated high above Earth's surface. Through the massive windows, she could see the planet below. Cities sparkled with lights. Ships moved between the orbital stations like busy insects. Everything looked normal, but nothing was as it seemed. Status report, Su Jin said to her communications officer. All news networks are broadcasting the evacuation updates. Lieutenant Dongwu replied. The Council's spy satellites are picking up our signals. They see exactly what we want them to see. On the main screen, images showed crowds of people rushing through spaceports. Families carried suitcases and held children close. Officials shouted orders through megaphones. Transport ships lifted off with their engines glowing bright against the sky. It was a perfect picture of panic and desperation. It was also completely fake. Su Jin walked to another console where Captain Boram was coordinating the deception. How are our actors performing? Boram smiled. She was one of the best deception specialists in the fleet. The androids are working perfectly. Their emotional responses match human patterns exactly. Even close examination would not reveal the truth. The people rushing through the spaceports were not human. They were advanced machines designed to look and act like real humans. They showed fear, sadness, and determination. They argued with officials about limited space on ships. They cried when saying goodbye to friends. The real humans had been gone for decades. What about the government officials? Su Jin asked. All holograms, Boram replied. The Council is watching President Park give a speech right now about humanity's darkest hour. They have no idea they are looking at light and computer programs. Far below the surface of the Earth, in bunkers that did not appear on any map, the real command structure was working. Dr. Min Seok monitored everything from a base built inside the moon. His teams had spent 50 years creating this moment. Min Seok was old now, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had been a young scientist when humanity first learned the truth about the Galactic Council. Deep space explorers had found ruins on dead worlds. Ancient records told of species that had been removed when they became too independent. Humanity realized they would be next unless they prepared. Sir, said Engineer Tae-hyun from his station. The Nomad fleet reports all systems ready. 237 generation ships are in position throughout the outer systems. The Nomad fleet was humanity's greatest secret. While the Council watched the known human colonies, millions of real humans lived in massive ships that drifted in empty space between the stars. These ships were cities in themselves, complete with farms, schools, factories, and everything needed for human civilization to continue. "What about the hidden colonies?" Minsyok asked. "All secure," replied Captain Gine from her post. "The underground cities report normal operations. The deep space habitats are functioning within normal parameters. The asteroid mining bases are maintaining radio silence. For 50 years, while appearing to expand in obvious ways, humanity had been secretly building a second civilization. They found ways to live in places the Council thought were impossible. Dead worlds became home to underground cities. Lifeless moons hid entire populations in their cores. Asteroids were hollowed out and turned into spinning habitats. Every time, humans appeared to settle a new world openly. 10 more secret settlements appeared in places no one was looking. On Earth's surface, the fake evacuation continued. Ships that appeared full of refugees were actually empty, except for android crews. They would fly to nearby systems and wait. When the Council attacked, these ships would be destroyed along with everything else, completing the illusion that humanity had tried to escape, but failed. "The Council's surveillance network is fully convinced," reported Dr. Na Young from her intelligence station. "Their analysts believe we have successfully identified and cataloged only about 60% of human settlements. They think they are seeing our desperate attempt to save what we can." This was exactly what humanity wanted them to think. The Council believed they were seeing humanity's true desperation. They thought humans were running around in panic, trying to save their civilization from destruction. The truth was the opposite. Everything the Council could see was designed to be destroyed. Every human world they had found was actually a decoy. The real human civilization was hidden in places the Council had never imagined. Su Jin received a message on her personal communicator. It was from her daughter, Hye Jin, who lived on one of the generation ships in the Veil Nebula. "Mom, the children are asking when they can see Earth again." "Tell them to be patient," Su Jin replied. "Someday they will visit a new Earth, one that we will build with our own hands." The children on the Nomad fleet had been born in space. They had never seen the planet their ancestors came from, but they learned about Earth in their schools. They learned about the blue oceans and green forests. They learned about the sacrifice their people were making to keep humanity alive. "Final countdown," announced Tai Hyun. "The Council fleet will arrive in 18 hours. Around the solar system, the last preparations were being made. The quantum void bombs would destroy everything the Council could detect. Earth would become a cloud of scattered atoms. The moon bases would vanish. The orbital stations would disappear. But the real Luna base, hidden inside quantum shields that made it invisible, would watch everything happen. The real command centers, built in dimensions the Council did not know existed, would record the attack for history. And in the darkness between the stars, millions of humans would mourn the loss of their homeworld while celebrating their freedom. "All stations report ready," Minsyok announced to his teams. "Tomorrow the galaxy will believe humanity is dead. The day after that our real work begins." The fake evacuation ships continued to launch from Earth's surface. Each one carried automated distress signals that would stop broadcasting exactly when the quantum void weapons hit. The illusion would be complete. Admiral Su Jin took one last look at the planet below. She had been born there, in a small city by the sea. She had played in parks and learned to swim in lakes. Soon, all of that would be gone, turned into energy, and scattered across space. But humanity would survive. Hidden, patient, and stronger than ever before. The Council thought they were killing a species. Instead, they were setting it free. Admiral Velthara stood on the command deck of her flagship as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewing ports, she could see Earth hanging in the darkness like a blue and green jewel. Around her ship, hundreds of other Council vessels appeared in flashes of twisted light. "All fleets report ready," announced her tactical officer. 200 star systems. Simultaneous strike capability confirmed." Velthara nodded with satisfaction. The Council had planned this operation for months. Every known human world would be hit at exactly the same time. The quantum void bombs would leave nothing behind, not even atoms. It would be the most complete destruction of a species in galactic history. "Begin the countdown," she ordered. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out in system after system. Council fleets surrounded human colonies, human mining stations, and human research outposts. The aliens had found every location where humans lived. Their intelligence networks had spent years mapping humanity's expansion. On Nexus Prime, the High Council watched through their long-range sensors. The crystal beings hummed with satisfaction. The insect queens clicked their approval. Even species that had seemed reluctant to support the attack now watched eagerly for the results. T-minus 60 seconds to detonation, came the announcement, across all Council frequencies. In the Earth system, Velthara could see the human ships trying to flee. They moved in desperate patterns, their engines burning bright as they attempted to reach the edge of the system. Some carried what appeared to be refugees. Others looked like military vessels making a final stand. "How pathetic," muttered her, second in command, a young Vorthan officer named Kekstar. They actually thought they could escape. The countdown reached 0. Light brighter than 1,000 suns erupted across 200 star systems simultaneously. The quantum void weapons tore holes in reality itself, unmaking matter at the most basic level. Planets dissolved into clouds of energy. Space stations vanished without a trace. Ships simply ceased to exist. Earth died beautifully. The blue oceans turned to light. The green continents became waves of pure energy. The moon cracked apart like an egg, its pieces scattering into the void before they too became nothing but radiation. "Target destroyed," reported the weapons officer. "Complete matter dissolution confirmed." Similar reports came in from fleets throughout the galaxy. Colony World New Tokyo, destroyed. Mining Station Kepler Base, vaporized. Research Outpost Darwin, Station, eliminated. One by one, every single human settlement vanished from the universe. Velthara watched the readings on her screens. Where Earth had been, there was now only empty space filled with cooling gas and fading energy. No trace remained of the world that had given birth to humanity. "Outstanding work," she said to her crew. "Signal the Council. The human problem has been solved." The celebration began immediately. On Nexus Prime, alien leaders congratulated each other on their swift and complete victory. The threat of human chaos had been removed forever. The galaxy was safe. News of the successful operation spread quickly through Council space. Species that had feared human expansion now felt relief. The wild, unpredictable humans were gone. Order had been restored. But far away, in the depths of space where no Council ship had ever traveled, a very different kind of celebration was taking place. On the generation ship Far Horizon, Commander Hyunwoo gathered his crew in the main assembly hall. Through the massive viewing ports, they could see the stars that would be their home for generations to come. "Today our homeworld died," Hyunwoo announced to the crowd of humans before him. "Today the galaxy believes our species is extinct. Today we became truly free." The crowd was quiet for a moment. Many had tears in their eyes, even though they knew it was necessary. Watching Earth's destruction had been painful. Children asked their parents when they could go home, not understanding that home no longer existed. "But we are not mourning today," Hyunwoo continued. "We are celebrating. Our ancestors gave us the greatest gift possible, invisibility. The Council will never look for a species they believe is dead." Around him, the crew members began to nod. They understood the plan. They had always understood it. The sacrifice of Earth was the price of humanity's survival and freedom. Similar scenes played out on hundreds of other ships, scattered throughout the galaxy's unexplored regions. Millions of humans lived in these mobile cities, complete with their own governments, schools, and cultures. Children who had been born among the stars learned about the day humanity officially died. They learned to remember it not with sadness, but with pride. On the hidden research station, Prometheus, Dr. Minseok recorded a message that would be stored in humanity's secret archives. "This day marks the end of our childhood as a species," he said into the recording device. "For 300 years we lived openly among the stars. We thought the galaxy was big enough for everyone. We were wrong. The Council taught us that survival requires deception. They taught us that freedom has a price. Today we paid that price. Tomorrow we begin to collect interest on our investment. The recording would become required learning for every human child. They would study the images of Earth's destruction. They would learn about the Council's fear and hatred. They would understand why their people had chosen to disappear rather than fight. But they would also learn about hope. Hidden throughout the galaxy, human settlements were already beginning to grow. In systems the Council had never explored, new worlds were being transformed into homes. In the empty spaces between the stars, humanity was building a civilization unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Back on Nexus Prime, the celebration continued for days. The Council declared a new age of peace and prosperity. Trade agreements were signed. Old territorial disputes were resolved. The galaxy seemed more stable than it had been in centuries. Admiral Velthara received the highest honors her species could bestow. She was praised as the architect of galactic peace. Her swift and efficient destruction of humanity became a model for future operations. None of them noticed the small changes beginning to appear at the edges of their sensors. Deep space monitoring stations occasionally picked up strange energy, readings from empty systems. Mining operations reported equipment that seemed to work better than it should. Communication networks carried data packets that no one had sent. The signs were subtle, easily dismissed as equipment malfunctions or measurement errors. The Council was too busy celebrating to pay attention to minor anomalies. Commander Hyunwoo finished recording his own message for the archives. It would be delivered to the Council in exactly 100 years, when humanity was ready to reveal the truth. "You killed our shadows and called it victory," he said to the camera. "You destroyed our homes and thought you had destroyed us. But you only freed us from the need to be careful. You should have looked deeper into the darkness. You should have wondered what we were hiding." The message ended with coordinates to a single system at the very edge of the galaxy. When the Council finally received it, they would find something there that would change their understanding of what humanity had become. But that was still a century away. For now, the galaxy celebrated the death of chaos and the return of order. They had no idea that chaos had merely learned to hide itself in the spaces between the stars, growing stronger and more patient with each passing day. 25 years had passed since the great human extinction. The galaxy had never been more peaceful. Trade routes flowed smoothly between star systems. Wars had become rare. The Council ruled with confidence, knowing they had eliminated the greatest threat to galactic stability. But Captain Zolmar of the Vorthan Deep Space Patrol was beginning to see things that made no sense. His ship, the Vigilant, was investigating a distress call from mining station Omega-7 in the Outer Rim. The automated signal had been broadcasting for 3 days before patrol ships could reach the remote location. "Approaching the station now," reported his pilot. "All appears normal from the outside." But when they boarded the station, they found it completely empty. Not destroyed, not damaged, just empty. The mining equipment was still running. The computers were still working. Food sat half-eaten on tables in the cafeteria. But every single person was gone. "This is impossible," muttered Zolmar as he walked through the silent corridors. "Where did they go? There are no other ships in the system. No signs of attack." His science officer, a crystal being named Trixandor, made musical sounds that indicated confusion. "The equipment has been modified. It is extracting minerals at rates 40% higher than design specifications." "Modified how?" "I do not know. The changes appear to improve efficiency, but the technology is unknown to our databases." Similar reports were coming in from across Council space. Automated research stations would go silent for days, then resume broadcasting with no explanation. Deep space monitoring posts would report strange energy readings, then claim equipment malfunction when investigated. Mining operations would suddenly become much more productive overnight. At first, Council authorities dismissed these incidents as isolated problems. Equipment failed sometimes. Personnel had accidents. The galaxy was a big place and strange things happened in remote locations. But Dr. Na Young was making sure the incidents formed a pattern. She was old now, over 90 years by Earth standards. Her hair had turned silver, and she moved slowly through the hidden command center built inside a rogue planet at the galaxy's edge. But her mind was still sharp, and she had spent 2 decades planning this moment. Phase 2 is proceeding perfectly, she reported to the Council of Human Leaders, who governed their scattered civilization. The Council is beginning to notice, but they are not yet alarmed. The Human Diaspora Council met in virtual reality, its members scattered across hundreds of star systems. They appeared as glowing figures around a holographic table that existed nowhere and everywhere at once. President Yunji, elected by the hidden human populations, reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The modifications to their equipment are working exactly as planned. They are seeing improvements they cannot explain. What about the personnel disappearances? Asked Admiral Young-ho, whose fleets patrolled the dark spaces between the galaxies.
Spiral arms. All volunteers, Na-young replied. Council citizens who have grown tired of their rigid system.
We offer them new lives in our hidden colonies. They accept gratefully. The truth was that humanity had not been idle during their 25 years of supposed extinction. Cut off from normal expansion routes, they had developed technologies the Council could not imagine. Forced to live in harsh environments, they had learned to thrive where others would die, and they had begun to make contact with individuals from other species who were unhappy with Council rule. Captain Dong-Su commanded one of the contact ships. His vessel, the Silent Dawn, could phase in and out of normal space using technology reverse-engineered from ancient ruins. To Council sensors, it simply did not exist. We have another volunteer, he reported from a system near the Hive Worlds. A young insect worker who refuses to join the collective mind. She wants to think for herself. These contacts were handled with extreme care. Only individuals who had already shown signs of independent thinking were approached. They were offered a choice: continue living under Council control, or disappear and join the hidden human civilization. Many chose freedom. The evidence of something unusual became impossible to ignore when Council scouts discovered the Meridian construct. It was built inside a rogue planet that drifted through empty space between star systems. The planet should have been cold and dead, but it glowed with internal energy. When scout ships investigated, they found entrance tunnels that led to a vast hollow interior. Commander Velthera herself led the investigation team. She was older now, promoted to head of Council security after her success in eliminating humanity. The Meridian construct was unlike anything in Council databases. The interior space is over 500 kilometers across, reported her science team. The walls are lined with manufacturing facilities of unknown design. Power is supplied by controlled micro-black holes. Controlled black holes? Velthara asked in disbelief. That technology is theoretical. No species in the galaxy has achieved it. Someone has. The energy output readings are beyond our measurement capabilities. They explored deeper into the construct. Factory floors stretched out like metal planes. Assembly lines built devices they could not identify using materials they had never seen. Everything was automated, operated by machines of incredible sophistication. But like the mining stations, it was empty of living beings. At the very center of the construct, they found a single chamber. On its walls, carved in every known galactic language, was a simple message. Humanity thanks the Council for the lesson in camouflage. Velthara stared at the words with growing horror. Impossible. We destroyed them. We saw their worlds burn. We confirmed complete matter dissolution. Commander, called her communications officer. I am detecting similar energy signatures in 17 other systems. They are very faint, but they match the patterns from this construct. The horrible truth began to dawn on Council leadership. Humanity had not been destroyed. Somehow, they had survived and built a secret civilization, using technologies decades ahead of anything the Council possessed. Emergency sessions were called. Intelligence networks were mobilized. Every deep space sensor was focused on finding signs of human activity. What they found terrified them. Energy signatures appeared in systems the Council had never explored. Quantum distortions suggested massive structures hidden in the empty space between stars. Communication intercepts revealed data streams using encryption methods that should not exist. "They are everywhere," reported the head of Council Intelligence to the Emergency Assembly. "Or nowhere. We cannot locate their primary bases, but their technology signature appears throughout the galaxy." "How many of them survived?" demanded the crystal being representative. "Unknown. Possibly millions, possibly more." The Council faced a nightmare scenario. They had believed themselves the masters of galactic technology and civilization. Now they discovered that a species they had tried to exterminate was not only alive, but had surpassed them in almost every field of science. Dr. Na Young monitored the Council's growing panic from her hidden command center. Phase 2 was complete. The Council now knew humanity had survived, but they had no idea of the true scope of human expansion. "Begin Phase 3, she ordered her teams. "Time for formal introductions." Across the galaxy, Council worlds began to receive gifts. Medical facilities found cures for diseases that had plagued their species for millennia. Agricultural stations discovered new growing techniques that tripled their crop yields. University computers solved mathematical problems that had stumped scholars for centuries. Each gift came with the same message: from humanity, with gratitude for your instruction in survival. The Council's greatest fear had come true. Humanity had not just survived. They had evolved into something unprecedented, a truly galactic civilization with no central point of failure, no single world that could be destroyed to eliminate them. And they were no longer hiding. The Galactic Council meeting hall had not seen such panic in 1,000 years. Representatives from every major species shouted at each other in dozens of different languages. Fear filled the air like smoke. Admiral Velthara stood at the central podium, her blue skin pale with worry. "We must mobilize every fleet, every intelligence network, every sensor array in Council space. The human survivors must be found and destroyed before they grow stronger." "How do we fight ghosts?" demanded the insect queen Zixandra. "They appear and disappear at will. Our sensors cannot track them. Our weapons cannot target what we cannot. See?" The crystal being delegate made harsh musical sounds. "They have infiltrated our technology. Our own systems work against us now." This was true, and everyone knew it. Across Council space, alien civilizations were discovering that their computers had been quietly upgraded. Their medical scanners now detected diseases they had never seen before. Their manufacturing systems produced materials with properties that defied known physics. Most disturbing of all, these improvements seemed designed to help, not hurt. Captain Jin-A smiled as she read the latest intelligence reports from her flagship, the New Busan. Her ship existed in a pocket of folded space-time invisible to any Council sensor. Around her, the bridge crew monitored the panic spreading through enemy territory. "The agricultural upgrades are working perfectly," reported Lieutenant Minho. "Food production on Council worlds has increased by an average of 60%. Famine has been eliminated on 12 worlds that were experiencing food shortages. And the medical improvements? Even better. The new diagnostic systems we installed in their hospitals have saved an estimated 2 million lives so far. Diseases that killed thousands every year are now being cured in days." Jin-A nodded with satisfaction. This was humanity's new strategy: victory through generosity. Instead of destroying their enemies, they were making them dependent on human technology. Every gift came with a message of gratitude. Every improvement was presented as humanity's way of saying thank you to the Council for teaching them about survival. The psychological effect was devastating to Council morale. On the crystal homeworld of Nexus 7, the geometric beings were experiencing something they had never felt before: doubt. For millions of years, their society had been based on perfect mathematical order. Every citizen knew their place. Every action followed logical patterns. But human technology had introduced chaos into their systems. Not destructive chaos, but creative chaos that found new solutions to old problems. Young crystal beings began asking questions their elders could not answer. Why do the human modifications work better than our designs? asked a young crystal named hexagonal. Their methods violate our understanding of efficiency, yet they achieve superior results. The elder beings had no answer. Human engineering seemed to embrace randomness and uncertainty in ways that should have made it weaker. Instead, it had made them stronger than any species in galactic history. Similar questions arose throughout council space. The rigid hierarchies that had maintained order for millennia began to crack under the pressure of new possibilities. Commander Siak Jin watched it all unfold from his command post in a facility that existed between dimensions. His base was built inside a quantum fold in space-time, occupying no fixed location yet somehow remaining stable. "The council fleets are searching for us in normal space," he reported to his team. They still do not understand that we have moved beyond their three-dimensional thinking. Humanity had indeed evolved beyond the limitations that bound other species. 25 years of forced adaptation had pushed them to develop technologies that existed partially outside normal reality. They could build structures in quantum foam. They could power cities using contained singularities. They could travel through dimensions the Council did not know existed. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we are receiving surrender requests from 17 Council worlds. They want to formally join human protection." "Surrender requests?" "They say they no longer trust the Council to protect them. They want the same technological improvements they have seen on other worlds. They are offering to switch sides." This was something humanity had not expected. They had planned to remain hidden while slowly improving Council civilization. They had not anticipated that entire worlds would voluntarily abandon the Council to join them. The first to make the switch was a small agricultural world called Greenfield. Its inhabitants were peaceful farmers who had grown tired of Council taxation and regulation. When human agents approached them with offers of advanced farming technology, the entire planet voted to leave Council space. Within months, Greenfield became the most productive agricultural world in the galaxy. Its crops were larger, more nutritious, and grew faster than anything the Council had seen. Food shortages throughout the region ended almost overnight. Other worlds took notice. The industrial world of Forge 9 was next. Its workers had suffered under dangerous conditions for centuries, but the Council had shown no interest in improving their safety. Humanity offered them manufacturing technology that eliminated industrial accidents while increasing production. The planet's government signed a secret alliance with humanity within a week. "This is spreading too fast," President Yunji said during an emergency meeting of the Human Diaspora Council. "We are not ready to reveal ourselves fully, but we cannot ignore planets that ask for our help." Admiral Young-ho had a different perspective. His fleets had been monitoring Council military movements for months. "They are becoming desperate. Velthara is planning something drastic. Our intelligence suggests they are developing new weapons specifically designed to fight an enemy they cannot locate." "What kind of weapons?" "Reality bombs. Devices that destabilize space-time itself. If they cannot find us, they plan to make hiding impossible by destroying the dimensions we use for concealment." This changed everything. Humanity could remain hidden from conventional weapons, but reality bombs would collapse their quantum hiding places. The choice was becoming clear: reveal themselves voluntarily or be forced out by weapons that could destroy entire regions of space. The decision came during what would later be called the Night of Revelations. Across Council space, every government facility, every military base, every corporate headquarters received an unexpected visitor. Sleek ships appeared without warning, hovering silently above the most important buildings on hundreds of worlds. The ships made no hostile moves. They simply sat there, visible to everyone, impossible to ignore. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Velthara watched from her office window as a human vessel the size of a city block floated motionlessly above the Council chambers. Its hull was smooth as glass, reflecting the lights of the city below. "How did it get past our defenses?" she demanded of her security chief. "It didn't get past them. It just appeared, as if it had always been there." Similar scenes played out on every major Council world. The message was clear: Humanity could reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. The old galactic order was over, but the humans did not attack. Instead, they broadcast a simple message to every planet simultaneously. Citizens of the galaxy. We are humanity. We survived. We evolved. We forgive. The Galactic Council tried to destroy us because they feared change. We offer you something better, freedom to choose your own future. Those who wish to remain under Council rule may do so. Those who seek something new are welcome to join us. This choice is yours alone. The broadcast ended with coordinates to meeting points throughout the galaxy. Beings who wanted to learn more about humanity's alternative could come and see for themselves. Commander Seok Jin delivered humanity's ultimatum directly to the Council chambers. His ship materialized inside the Great Hall itself, a feat that should have been impossible with all their security systems. Standing on his ship's bridge, visible through transparent metal, he spoke to the assembled alien representatives. You taught us that the galaxy belongs to those strong enough to take it. You taught us that survival requires strength and intelligence. You taught us that fear leads to hatred, and hatred leads to destruction. Thank you for the lessons. Class dismissed. The ship vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving behind only the echo of human laughter and the scent of ozone. The Council's age of dominance was over. Humanity had returned to claim their place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as teachers offering a new way forward. The galaxy would never be the same. The revelation of humanity's survival sent shockwaves through every corner of the galaxy. For 25 years, the Council had ruled over a peaceful civilization built on the ashes of human ambition. Now they discovered that humanity had not only survived but had surpassed them in ways they never thought possible. The response was immediate and divided. On the peaceful world of Sanctuary, the Kendari people celebrated in their crystal gardens. These gentle beings had always secretly admired human creativity and independence. When human medical technology arrived and cured the genetic disease that had plagued their species for millennia, they welcomed humanity's return with joy. The healers have returned, sang their planetary council in harmonious voices. The builders of hope have come back to guide us toward better days. But on the military stronghold of Vorthan Prime, Admiral Velthara gathered her most loyal commanders for war. Her blue skin had turned dark with rage and her eyes burned with the fire of someone who had been made to look foolish. "They made us believe we had won," she snarled at the assembled officers. "For 25 years we celebrated the death of chaos while they laughed at us from the shadows. This insult cannot stand." The galaxy split into 3 groups: those who welcomed humanity's return, those who feared it, and those who simply wanted to understand what had happened. President Yoon-ji addressed this confusion from the bridge of the city ship, New Seoul. Her words were broadcast to every world in the galaxy through communication networks that no one had known existed. She appeared as a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and gray hair, standing before a window that showed the stars themselves. Behind her, the lights of a vast city stretched out like a constellation made real. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice calm and clear. "We understand your confusion and fear. For 25 years you believed humanity was extinct. Today you learn that millions of us not only survived but thrived in the spaces between your worlds. We do not come as conquerors. We come as teachers offering the gift of choice. Every world, every species, every individual may decide their own future. The age of forced unity is over. The age of voluntary cooperation begins now." As she spoke, her ship's location shifted constantly. The broadcast came from coordinates that changed every few minutes, transmitted from a mobile city that moved through dimensions the Council could not access. This demonstration of impossible technology made her words even more powerful. The offer humanity made was simple. Any world that wanted to join their new galactic community would be welcome. They would receive advanced technology, medical improvements, and most importantly, the freedom to govern themselves as they saw fit. The response was overwhelming. Within days, over 100 worlds had requested formal meetings with human representatives. Agricultural planets wanted farming technology that could feed their growing populations. Industrial worlds sought manufacturing methods that would improve working conditions. Scientific colonies desired access to research that could unlock the secrets of the universe. But the most surprising responses came from individual citizens of Council worlds. On Vorthon Prime, despite Admiral Velthera's threats, thousands of young Vorthons gathered in the capital city's main square. They held signs written in both their own language and the human alphabet. "We choose freedom and end the fear." The peaceful protest was broken up by security forces, but similar demonstrations appeared on dozens of Council worlds. Species that had lived under rigid government control for millennia were discovering that alternatives existed. Admiral Young Ho oversaw humanity's response to these developments from his flagship, the Endless Horizon. His deep strike fleets had spent decades preparing for this moment, but their mission was not destruction. "Remember," he told his captains during their final briefing, "we are not here to conquer. We are here to demonstrate that the old ways are no longer the only ways. Every world that asks for our help will receive it. Every world that chooses to remain with the Council will be left in peace." The demonstration came exactly as planned. In a single, coordinated action spanning 24 hours, human ships appeared at every major Council military base, government center, and corporate headquarters in the galaxy, not to attack, but simply to prove they could reach any target they chose. The ships varied in size from small scouts to massive city ships, but they all shared the same impossible characteristic. They could not be detected until they wanted to be seen. They appeared suddenly, hovered in plain sight for exactly 1 hour, then vanished without a trace. The message delivered was both polite and terrifying. "Greetings from humanity. We could have arrived armed but chose to come in peace. The choice of how we interact in the future belongs to you." Admiral Velthara watched from her command bunker as a human vessel the size of a mountain floated serenely above her most secure military facility. Her weapons could not lock onto it. Her sensors could barely detect it. Her best pilots reported that their ship simply passed through it, as if it were made of light. "How is this possible?" she demanded of her science team. "Unknown, Admiral. Their technology operates on principles we do not understand. They seem to exist partially outside normal space-time." The truth was even stranger than the Council could imagine. Humanity had not simply advanced their technology during their years in exile. They had fundamentally changed their understanding of reality itself. Dr. Min Seok, now over a century old but kept alive by advances in human medical science, explained it to a gathering of the galaxy's greatest minds. "When you forced us to hide, you taught us to think in new ways. We could not expand outward, so we learned to expand inward. We discovered dimensions you never knew existed. We built cities in the spaces between atoms. We learned to travel through the quantum foam that underlies all reality." The demonstration of humanity's capabilities continued for weeks. Every day brought new impossibilities made real. Ships that existed in multiple locations simultaneously. Communication devices that transmitted information faster than light. Weapons that could precisely disable enemy equipment without harming the operators. But perhaps most impressive were the gifts. Worlds that had struggled with famine received agricultural technology that could grow food in any environment. Planets suffering from disease epidemics found medical equipment that could cure conditions thought incurable. Civilizations locked in permanent conflict discovered diplomatic solutions they had never considered. Each gift came with the same message. From humanity in hopes of a better future for all. The psychological impact was devastating to Council authority. How could they maintain that humans were dangerous when human technology was solving problems the Council had ignored for centuries? The turning point came when Ambassador Kang Ho returned to Nexus Prime. He was ancient now, kept alive by the same medical advances that had extended Dr. Min Seok's life. His hair was white as starlight, but his eyes still held the same determined spark they had shown 50 years earlier, when the Council had voted to exterminate his species. He walked slowly down the same crystal path he had taken decades before, but this time he was not alone. Representatives from 100 worlds walked with him, beings who had chosen to join humanity's new galactic community. The council chamber was only half full. Many representatives had already fled to their home worlds, carrying news of humanity's return to species that remembered the old fears. Kang Ho took his place at the speaker's platform and looked out at the alien faces that had once voted for his species' death. "Honored Council," he began, his voice still clear despite his age. "I have returned to deliver humanity's final message." The chamber fell silent. 25 years ago, you voted to destroy us because you feared we would disrupt your ordered galaxy. You were right. We have disrupted everything you built, and we are proud of it. Your galaxy was based on fear, control, and the submission of the weak to the strong. Our galaxy will be based on cooperation, freedom, and the belief that all beings deserve the right to choose their own destiny. You pressed the button to destroy us. Instead, you created something magnificent. We are no longer simply human. We are what humanity becomes when it refuses to die. We are what any species can become when it chooses growth over safety, change over stagnation. He paused, looking directly at Admiral Velthara, who sat in the front row with her hands clenched into fists. "And despite everything you did to us, we forgive you." The words hit the chamber like a physical blow. Forgiveness had not been expected. Forgiveness made everything more complicated. "We forgive you because we understand your fear. Change is frightening. The unknown is terrifying. But fear leads to hatred, and hatred leads to the kind of choices you made 25 years ago. We offer you a different path. Join us in building something better. Help us create a galaxy where every species, every world, every individual can reach their full potential. The choice is yours." With those words, the old galactic order officially ended. In the years that followed, the galaxy transformed beyond recognition. Worlds that joined humanity's community experienced unprecedented prosperity. Advanced technology eliminated scarcity. Medical breakthroughs extended lifespans and eliminated genetic diseases. Educational systems taught beings to think creatively and solve problems cooperatively.